What's up, what's going on, legends? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm bringing you guys the mission guide for tier 3 of the White Lotus faction. This is going to consist of 7 total missions, 5 of which you will have to complete out of the 6 in order to unlock the final 7th one. And then obviously that'll let you move on to tier 4. Before we dive into it, if you guys do enjoy this content anytime or find this video helpful in any way, make sure you show your support for the channel by going down below and smashing that like button. Go and throw an easy goal of 50 likes on today's video, as well as if you guys like to find your way back to the channel for more Call of Duty content, make sure to hit that subscribe button alongside that notification bell so we don't miss you in future videos. First up, we have Fast and Strong. This one is going to be a two-parter. Part 1 is not going to be as unfamiliar for us. It's to unlock a stronghold door with a key card. If you guys have ever found a stronghold key and opened a door, you've done this before. So essentially you're going to eliminate enemies until they drop one, or you're going to go to your local buy station or shop and buy one for 5,000. Once you've acquired that key card, you've then want to take it over to a stronghold, and you're going to want to open the door, completing part 1. Part 2, however, is going to be significantly more challenging. It's asking you to clear 3 strongholds, each in under 15 seconds after unlocking the stronghold door. So you're going to want to be prepared before opening the door to actually clear it, because 15 seconds goes much quicker than you think. The good news with this guy is once you open the door, there's actually a timer at the top of your screen letting you know how much time you have left to clear the space. Now, there is a strategy I'm going to share with you guys real quick here that you can do this so much easier. Essentially, you're going to want to go into your infill or scavenge your way to finding snapshots and drill charges. Once you've had these acquired, you may even want to invest some money into some munitions boxes. Unless you have enough teammates, you guys can probably team up with your munitions boxes and make this work. You're going to go toward the stronghold. Once you get to the outside of it, you're going to not want to unlock it. You're going to want to snapshot the outside, giving you the locations through the walls of where the enemies are. You're going to drill charge the walls, killing almost all of the enemies, but you are going to have to leave one enemy left over. With the one enemy left inside of the stronghold, you are then going to unlock it, rush to that final enemy, eliminate them. It will give you 1 towards your progress or completing the stronghold in under 15 seconds. This is by far the easiest strategy to clearing these in the time frame given, and you are of course going to have to complete 3 of these in order to finish this mission. Next up, we have Mall Rat, and this one is kind of a pain. It is 2 parts. Part 1 is asking you to kill 20 enemies in the Said City Mall without being downed. This is a lot more difficult than it seems because the enemies in this area can be fairly strong. However, you can actually make your way onto the roof and inside of the mall from the roof without even needing a key, even though it might seem like you will need a key for this one. Once you get up on the roof, I recommend eliminating as many enemies as you can up there, because there are going to be a few, and then peeking down inside and taking out as many enemies as you can without actually entering the mall. That'll be your last resort, and you'll dive into the mall. You're going to want to work with a squad on this one. Doing this solo will be extremely rough, and it'll obviously be easier if you have some other players who can kind of just help you eliminate those enemies without taking too much damage. Part 2 is going to be much more frustrating. It's going to require you to kill 3 operators in the Said City Mall. The good news here is you can actually be inside of the mall or even in the parking garage. The parking garage doesn't need any access to a key. And sometimes if you get lucky like I did, they might even put the exfil right next to the parking garage, which makes it an easy place to camp. And you can almost always expect that somebody's going to try to exfil, or at least a couple of different enemies will end up in this area, real players to be exact, and you'll be able to eliminate them. Once you've taken out 3 people in this area, you will obviously get this part completed, but it can be tough and, of course, rough to actually get these players to be in the area you need them to be. Next up, we have Errl Supremacy. This guy is a 1-parter. It is definitely one I recommend going into it with a squad, though, because it's asking you to control 3 SAM sites simultaneously. If there's any confusion on what that means, is you will have to have 3 of those at the exact same time. Essentially, you're going to need to activate one, go right to the next one, activate that one, and you might be pushing with time to get to the 3rd one, which is where your teammate will come in. I chose to part ways with my duo. He went to one site, I went to the other. Once we both got our sites completed, we met towards the 3rd one, and then we activated the 3rd one, and once that one was completed, we ended up having 3 of these activated at the same exact time. Now, you will run into other players. There might be people trying to anti or third party the situation, which will make it difficult. But using this strategy, you guys will have the best chances to get this done. Next up, we have Robin Hood. This guy's going to be a 2-parter. Part 1 is asking you to open 3 safes in 1 deployment. Now, there is a very easy way to identify where the safes are without just randomly running across them. You're going to want to complete a destroy supplies contract. Once you've done that, it will actually show you some safes in the general area, but make sure you do this early in the match, because sometimes I was activating the contract, completing it, and 1 or almost no safes were showing up. Do it early enough, you might get 3 to 5 safes, allowing you to go to the 3 safes you need and a fourth one if you are looking for additional money. Part 2 is going to be a little bit more challenging though. It's going to have you extract 100k on a single teammate in one deployment. That means one of the players on your team will need to hold all of the cash in order to do this. And now getting 100k can be challenging, especially without a money glitch or something of that nature. But I will say, if you were doing part 1, opening the safes, by the time I opened 3 safes, I had a majority of the money I needed. And then I was able to just sell a few items to get the last bit that I needed to be over 100k. Then you are obviously going to want to play it safe. Get to that exfil. Hopefully you'll have teammates with you. Otherwise, again, it's going to be one of those challenges that can be quite frustrating. You're going to want to exfil successfully with the 100,000, and you'll get part 2 complete. Next up, we have Medical Mule. This guy is going to be a 3-parter. Part 1 is asking you to deliver 20 stems to the dumpster dead drop northeast of Al Shamam Cemetery. So if you guys don't know where the dead drop is, I'll obviously include that location in the video. But you're going to need to deliver 20 stems. Obviously, if you have a large backpack, you will be able to fill it with as many stems as possible. The strategy here is to get up enough money to where you can buy quite a few munitions boxes and have a teammate that's also doing the same with you. You guys will go buy munitions boxes, essentially load up on as many stems as you can carry in your inventory, and then you'll want to go over to the dead drop in the cemetery, open the dead drop, and just drop as many of those as you can at once. I was able to do like 10 in a single drop, or in a single run, without having to obviously have my teammate drop any or move through more supply boxes or munitions boxes in order to actually get the amount I needed. But essentially just going to use the munitions box technique to do this. Part 2 is not going to be quite as easy. You're going to need to deliver 10 emergency rations to the dumpster dead drop northeast of the cemetery as well. So same dead drop. You're going to need to go and scavenge around the map for these emergency rations. I know you've seen them up to this point, you just never really picked them up. Now it's going to be that time to grab them. I was able to find quite a few in a single run. However, I did have to look through quite a few buildings. I found that any of the kitchens and looking inside of refrigerators was my best bet at finding these. And the last part is going to be a little tricky. It's definitely going to help to have teammates. It's expecting you to extract with 5 self-revives. Now, I definitely recommend if you have one equipped, you stow it before you actually extract, because that's the only way it's really going to count. So you're going to want to have 5 self-revives in your backpack upon extraction. Now, the best way to acquire these is going to be and get lucky enough to find them, but I don't like going that route, so it's better to actually get yourself some money, get your teammates to get some money. You guys meet up at a buy or move from buy to buy until you find the right one that has these self-revives. You're going to want to purchase enough self-revives, whether you need 3 more, 4 more, or all 5. You're going to make those purchases, make sure they're all in your bag. You're going to go to the local or closest exfil that you can, and you're going to want to get out as soon as possible. Next up, we have Unearthed. This one is going to be a 3-parter as well, and part 1 is asking you to acquire a key for the crane control room in Al Safwa Quarry. Now, up to this point, these are all RNG. Finding keys can be kind of tricky. I was fortunate enough to actually find one, but if you are struggling to actually get the luck to find it, there's great news. One of the Black Moss, I can't remember if it's tier 3 or tier 4, will actually give you this as a reward, so you might have to save this for later in the future when you actually acquired that key. Once you have the key, all you're going to do is load into the map with it, and this part will be completed. Part 2 is asking you to unlock the crane building base. I will of course show the location on the map to where this crane building is, but it is in the quarry, and you will obviously just go up to it with the key once you have it, and you will unlock the door, completing part 2. Now part 3 is where this gets a bit more challenging. It's expecting you to extract the quarry operations folder in the crane control room. So once you get in the control room, you're going to find that operations folder, you're going to put it into your backpack, and then you and your squad are going to have to exfil safely. Of course, it helps to be with the squad because then they can help defend you, and at least if you get out, this will count and you will get this part completed. And for our last and final mission, we have Pathfinder. This one is going to be a 3-parter and easily the most difficult in the entire tier if you ask me. Part 1's asking you to loot the GPS tracker from the dumpster dead drop near the Said City Mall. So if you guys are unfamiliar where that location is, of course I will show it, but it's on the back side of the mall. You're going to open that dumpster, and there will be a GPS tracker which you're going to loot. Once you've done that, part 1 has been completed. Part 2 is where things get a bit more challenging. Definitely recommend having a squad for this one. You have to travel to every POI while carrying the GPS tracker in a single deployment. There are 17 total POIs, and yes, you will have to go to all of them in order for this to actually be done. Now, there is a couple ways that you can actually go about this. One is finding a heavy armored vehicle or an LTV. You guys all jump into it, and you just kind of work a pattern around the map to make sure that you hit all of the POIs just driving. You'll obviously have to stop for gas and things like that. That's where the teammates are really, really handy. Now, there's a second way that you can do it, which is what I recommend, but it can be more difficult to acquire what you need. It's going to be taking the helicopter. You can acquire the helicopter You will be able to move across the map super quick. You won't have to go and stop for gas a ton of times, and you'll be able to do this probably the easiest possible way because it will overall help you avoid being shot at, or at least as much as possible. So if you were able to get the helicopter, you're just going to obviously fly around the map and some sort of sequence. Once you've visited all of the locations with the GPS tracker, this part will be completed. Now, the last and final part is going to be to extract with the GPS tracker. This can be a little scary because once you've visited all 17 POIs, you pretty much have been asking for it the entire match, but you're going to want to go to the closest or safest looking exfil spot, and you're going to want to try to exfil there. You could always take the strategy of completing one of those hostage rescues because then you can actually exfil in stealth. However, once you've exfilled safely with the GPS tracker, this final part will be completed. Now, after having finished Pathfinder, you will have completed the final Tier 3 challenge, allowing you to move on to Tier 4 of the White Lotus faction. Now that's going to wrap things up for us here. We covered each and every one of the missions along the way. Hopefully this helps you guys on your journey. Thank you guys for all the support in today's video, all the support in the channel, and I look forward to seeing y'all in the next one. Peace.